Upon the vast expanse of the open sea, a woman stands atop a shipping container. She hasn't eaten for days, and her eyes light up at the sight of fish swimming in the ocean. Using a makeshift fishing spear crafted from a bottle opener, she attempts countless times but catches nothing. Frustrated, she tosses her daughter's diaper into the sea, unexpectedly attracting a school of fish. With a moment of inspiration, the woman carefully weaves a makeshift net using a substantial amount of headphone wire and gently places it into the water. Using the diaper as bait, a fish soon swims into the net. With a swift pull, the woman successfully captures the fish, finally securing a meal. How did this woman end up adrift at sea? And will she be able to survive with her newborn daughter? The story traces back to a war-torn country where limited resources became increasingly scarce due to conflict. In order to solve the problem, the government is willing to kill the old, the sick, the disabled and even pregnant women. Such an inhumane policy has left countless innocent people in despair. In a desperate attempt to survive, Nico and his wife Mia decided to flee the country. Exhausting all their resources, they purchased 2 slots, paying a hefty sum, and were ushered into a shipping container already filled with others seeking refuge. They thought that once they left this troubled country, they would be able to start a new life with the baby in their wombs. But that was just the beginning. As daylight broke, the vehicle abruptly stopped, and the container doors swung open, unleashing a flood of refugees. The authorities, concerned about exposure, ordered half the people to move to another container. Despite Nico's protests, he was forcefully thrown into the other container, leaving Mia in despair. Mia saw Nico being confined to the green container labeled 107. Mia pulled out her phone to call Nico. On the other end, Nico reassured Mia that they would reunite once they reached their destination. Mia could only calm herself down. She looked through the bullet holes and observed the situation outside. The riots had completely disorganized the country, and those who dared to resist were brutally killed. Women and children were locked in cages like animals. The scene was a true reflection of the tragic world. On the inevitable route to the port, there was a checkpoint unfortunately controlled by an armed faction. If these heartless individuals were to discover them, the consequences would be unimaginable. Captain Marinero forcibly opened the shipping container. At first glance, it appeared to contain only a few boxes, but Marinero immediately sensed that something was amiss. Stepping outside, Marinero instructed his subordinates to fire shots into the innermost part of the carriage.
Dale!
The facts confirmed the existence of hidden compartments. Feigning concern, Marinero advised those inside to come out peacefully. Seeing no movement, he initiated a countdown. Mia, aware of the ruthless nature of these people, took advantage of the situation and climbed to the top of the boxes. At this moment, a pregnant woman, driven by a sense of hope, fearfully opened the door. The outcome unfolded as Mia had anticipated. In an instant, a group of vibrant lives was mercilessly slaughtered, not sparing even a child. They adeptly disposed of the bodies, indicating that these heartless beings had committed such heinous acts more than once. Finally, the container was loaded onto a cargo ship. Mia attempted to contact Nico but received no response. Unbeknownst to her, Mia fell asleep. Suddenly, the container violently shook. Mia was jolted awake. It was a rare storm wreaking havoc. Mia desperately shouted, seeking help from the ship's crew amidst the raging winds and colossal waves. The massive vessel, dwarfed and helpless, struggled like a fragile leaf in the tempest. Containers began to fall into the sea as the storm intensified. Mia, after an unknown duration, woke up to the slight rocking of the container. Through bullet holes, she witnessed a scene that left her utterly stunned. The container was floating on the surface, surrounded by endless ocean with no land in sight. To worsen matters, the bullet holes in the container were still leaking water. Mia panicked. She took out her mobile phone and called for help, but unfortunately the screen had been damaged in the crash and could not be unlocked. Panicked, Mia realized she was facing an incalculable predicament. For the sake of her unborn child, she couldn't afford to give up. The top priority was finding any available supplies. Mia searched through a few wooden boxes, only finding a cooler, clothing, and headphones. Now, only one suspended box remained unopened. To slow the sinking, Mia sealed the bullet holes with tape. At that moment, she heard a commotion outside. The green container labeled 107 was rapidly sinking. Mia, frantic, witnessed her husband entering that container. In a dire situation, she could do nothing but watch as the container was submerged by seawater. Mia, feeling hopeless, considered ending her own life, but the child in her womb seemed to remind her to stay strong. Heartbroken and weary, Mia eventually succumbed to deep sleep. Rising water levels startled her from nightmares. Seawater poured relentlessly through the bullet holes. Mia pinned her hopes on the last box, which, to her dismay, was full of crisper boxes. However, the sealed rubber rings on the box lids turned out to be the best waterproofing material she could find. After temporarily averting the crisis, Mia began inventorying the supplies. She used tape to record the time and marked the highest water level warning line. In such dire circumstances, she had no idea how long she could hold on. An unexpected ray of hope came with a phone call. As it turned out, Nico was not in container 107. The truck driver had left him outside the city, saving him from the ordeal. Nico comforted Mia, urging her to persevere, promising to reunite with them soon. To conserve battery, Mia reluctantly ended the call. Just then, her unborn child seemed unwilling to wait any longer, eager to explore the world. However, the child remained blissfully unaware of the challenges facing the mother. Mother's love is the greatest. Mia ate some food to regain strength and, amid the storm's baptism, gave birth to her daughter. From then on, Mia's life changed from one person to two, and she had to keep going for the sake of her child. As time passed, the water level in the container continued to rise. While the remaining food and water dwindled, Mia attempted to use a power drill to create an opening for opportunities, but the drill's battery ran out completely, with her smartphone submerged and unusable due to a shattered screen. Mia, on the brink of despair, noticed a serrated pocket knife. However, such a tool was ill-equipped for the high-intensity work, and as expected, the small knife broke. Mia faced an increasingly severe survival test. With fresh water and food fully depleted, prolonged labor and malnutrition led to hallucinations. In a semi-conscious state, Mia saw her lost elder daughter, a perpetual ache in Mia's heart. A torrential downpour through the top holes woke Mia, presenting the optimal opportunity to collect fresh water. In the morning, Mia opened the last canned food, a sight that brightened her spirits. Using sturdy bandages, she summoned all her strength to create an opening at the top, finally seeing daylight again. But a new problem arises. How does a woman with a child escape in the middle of the ocean? In her moment of despair, a passenger plane flew overhead, quickly gathering glass shards. Mia tried to attract the plane's attention with reflections. In her haste, she accidentally scraped her leg. Luckily, there was alcohol in the container to sterilize the wound, and Mia was able to sew herself up after enduring the excruciating pain. With a large amount of headphone cord, she weaves a net, and after a few attempts, she finally masters the art of catching fish. The food problem was resolved, and it meant the child could now have sufficient milk to drink. Before she knew it, Mia had been at sea for 9 days. She made a lot of floating bottles in a plastic box, hoping that someone would find them. Although the hope was slim, but at least it gave them a glimmer of hope. As the days passed into the 12th, there was still no sign of rescue. Faced with the despair of an uncertain future, Mia received another call from Nico. Unfortunately, Nico had secretly hidden in a container to find them, only to be discovered and severely wounded. Coincidentally, Mia's phone was running critically low on battery, signaling that this might be their final conversation. The line between hope and despair seemed blurred for Mia. The chocolate in front of her was the last thing Nico had left for her. Mia spent a long night in sorrow. By the 24th day, Mia could no longer prevent water from seeping in. The water level in the container had reached the warning line, and the sinking of the container was only a matter of time. In the midst of nervously crafting a makeshift raft for her daughter, a seagull landed on the container, indicating the presence of land nearby. As night fell, water began to pour in through the bullet holes, and unfortunately, Mia had left the chocolate inside the container. This chocolate was the last hope Nico had left for her. The process was not smooth. On her way back, Mia's foot got accidentally entangled in the bandage. With the container about to sink, Mia took a deep breath and submerged herself in the water. As the container slowly sank, the bandage was finally cut loose. When Mia resurfaced, her daughter had been washed away by the seawater, disappearing without a trace. Mia plunged into despair. Her daughter was Mia's only motivation to keep going. Perhaps maternal love moved the heavens. A whale appeared, its splashes causing the baby to cry loudly. Following the sound, Mia found her daughter. Thus, relying on a rudimentary lifeboat, they drifted through the night on the vast sea. As dawn finally broke, Mia had reached her limit. She didn't know how much longer she could endure. Seagulls flying in the sky signaled that land was nearby. Mia tossed leftover fish into the water. The method worked, and a group of seagulls appeared, incessantly calling above her head. With astonishing perseverance and profound maternal love, Mia created a miracle. A fishing boat was passing by and the gulls hovering in the air caught the woman's attention. The fishermen and their families swiftly approached. When they pulled up the strange floating object, they were completely astonished a cute infant lay inside. The question lingered, how could a child appear out of nowhere at sea? The woman follows the rope and pulls Mia hard into the fishing boat. A set of CPR later, Mia finally regained consciousness. They could hardly fathom how the mother and child managed to endure until now. Regardless, the nightmare had finally come to an end.